right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Paying for Attention. I'm Keegan Brown, and today I'm joined by Andrew Hollington, our new VP of Operations here at Megathos. Today, we're going to be talking about how to actually align your sales and marketing teams for growth. So, uh, Andrew, let's just jump right in it. We've been in agencies for a long time, helping marketing teams. But one of the big things that I think we've seen is that uh, most marketing teams are not communicating with their sales teams, and one that puts a lot of pressure on the marketing teams, and the sales teams are kind of in silos. It really kind of hurts the overall growth of the business, but it also makes our job harder on the agency side about how we can actually help if there's not communication going on between marketing and sales, right? So just kind of thinking about how do we educate our clients, and how do we help these marketing and sales teams actually get aligned. First, let's see if you agree, Andrew. But I think the big thing, and obvious, I think most teams do this, which is uh, sharing the strategies, going over the strategies as a company. I think that's where most organizations at least start, and then usually there's some drop off from there. But sharing, hey, this is what we're doing on the marketing side, here's the messaging we're going to be using, and the sales team kind of hopefully doing the same in terms of here's who we're targeting, here's what we're going to be using on the marketing side for messaging to sell. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a foundation of how to kind of close that gap you were talking about, how to effectively communicate together. Why not share your strategies?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Seems really obvious, but it's crazy how many organizations aren't doing it. So the marketing team, right? If you have a marketing plan in place, why not sit down with the sales leaders and make sure they understand exactly what that plan is, where the budgets are going, like you said, what messaging you're using, and it can be as high level or as in the weeds as it needs to, as a sales leader needs to see, right? You can say on Facebook we're doing mostly prospecting, which means we're talking to new people, which means we need to talk to them differently. You might see some leads come through that are just downloading an ebook.
Mm-hmm.
Don't contact them immediately. What we're doing is getting them in our funnel, right? Just sharing exactly what the and I think I stumbled into kind of something important there as well, is how is the funnel set up?
Mm-hmm.
Share that with sales. When should sales come into play? What should they be talking to these people about at each side? What types of emails are these people getting in support of, kind of the salespeople calling them,
Right.
things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, not every lead is the same, right? And
Yeah.
I think what happens so often and what we see is whether they filled out a quote or a demo request form or an ebook or a webinar, um, the salespersons might be reaching out doing the same pitch, same conversation. And those are two different audiences, right? They're in different stages, different awareness of your brand, different needs. And that can be big. I mean, I think that really starts to create that conversation that needs to happen after the strategies too, are kind of shared. But yeah, I think you know yeah the funnel I think is extremely important for the sales team to be kind of aware of. And I mean, Andrew, I don't know about you, but how many times with our clients have you been included in a sales meeting?
Never.
Yeah. I,
Actually, I mean, a couple times a client will bring a sales guy on the call and say, "Hey, why don't you hear it from the horse's mouth?
mm-hmm.
Um, what what they're hearing in terms of feedback on your leads," and that's helpful, right?
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't know otherwise. I wouldn't
Right.
know what the salespeople are hearing about my leads. I
Right.
wouldn't know what to do about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I've had a not very many meetings with sales teams, but hearing from them the questions that they have, like, hey, why are LinkedIn leads, just not
Yeah.
picking up the phone? And then that's where we actually get the chance to explain the funnel and things like that. And hey, just because they downloaded an ebook doesn't mean that they're ready to buy your $100,000 contract, right? So I think in those situations, I think it's been super helpful for us and for the sales team. But again, yeah, very very rarely do we ever actually sit in some of those meetings or get invited to. And so, if you're listening and you're either on sales or marketing, I think that is one thing just to make sure you're working within your organization. It improves marketing and improves sales and the organization as a whole, right? And which is everyone's goal. So, yeah, I think that's step one. Communicate in terms of um, your strategies and overall kind of just the knowledge transfer between both teams.
Yeah. On the sales side, I mean, I'm not extremely familiar with the sales side. I'm a marketing guy, have been for a long time, but like I don't know what the reverse of that would be in terms of sharing a sales strategy with marketing, but just thinking along those lines, the sales team. Also, why it's so important to communicate is the sales team needs to know what expectations have been set to this point to know how to talk to these people, right? So in a sales strategy, you have to know, what, again, going back to the funnel, what expectations have been set with them. Were they offered a free demo? Okay, cool. I know now I need to give them a free demo, and I'm going to go from there with my sales pitch.
Right.
Have they only just started down the path and they're downloading a white paper? I'm not going to give them the demo right away, right? So seems obvious, but
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So step two, I think, is collecting data and setting up a strategy to collect and share that data after strategies on both sides have kind of been deployed for both marketing and sales. So this definitely includes a lot more of what we do, Andrew, in terms of generating leads. How do you see the data collection right now with some of our clients and how that's being shared with sales? Is there opportunities, do you think, that are being missed? Do you think that there's value out of what we're currently doing for our clients?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like you said, it starts with the data collection. So that's a foundation of what we need to kind of do some analysis. But then obviously, as they go through the sales phases, that's where we need that kind of extra feedback. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why were they unqualified? If we were just to, so a lot of times what'll happen, just for context, is we'll get access to a client's CRM, right? So say it's Salesforce, easiest example. And we have, all right, this lead came from Google CPC, meaning it came from Google paid search. This is the keyword they searched, and they were on X device, right? So we have all that data for us, and now we can see it attached to an opportunity in Salesforce. And as that opportunity goes through phases, right, they may be phase one demo, right, phase two, or phase one qualification, phase two they're qualified, phase three, they're on the demo stage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what happens between these stages, and why are they falling off these stages?
Right.
If there's not a lot of context within Salesforce, there's not a lot we can do. All we see is unqualified. Okay, what do we do about it? I mean, there is some things we can do about it, right? There are some things that we can do, which is, all right, analyze trends in the qualified and unqualified and optimize accordingly, sure, but we're missing that little bit of context that could add extra value, right? What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think that's super important. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to be on the marketing side, get a bunch of data collected from our side, send it over to sales, they do their job, and then we get kind of some data back showing, hey, they're unqualified, or hey, these opportunities closed and turned into revenue. But without the context, I think it's extremely difficult to really fully optimize, understand what could be going wrong in certain targeting, right? So um, if it's a channel or a keyword or whatever, producing bad quality leads or good quality leads, if we just have the data and it's kind of general and vague, like unqualified or qualified, we can do a little bit, but having that context and sharing that between teams is huge. And you can even take this outside of just paid marketing, right? You can also think about like events. where most of the time leads who coming in from like an event are tagged as an event lead. They get taken to the sales team. They get, you know, go through the sales stages there. But something just to refer back to the marketing team is, yeah, obviously, what was the success of that? Why were they not unqualified, or why were they unqualified? Is it, not a client market or client fit? Is it a too small of a business, lead that they saw from that event? Um, Wrong industry. What was it? So that the marketing team could say, hey, this year we're not going to these 3 events. They weren't worth it, the last 2 years, but these other 6 events, we're definitely going to. We saw positive ROI. We know what we need to double down on while we're there. So I think, again, that kind of communication is huge, and having that data is going to be extremely important to give the context for those meetings.
Yeah, totally agree. That's I like that you brought it back to that. That's interesting. That's turning it a little bit upside down into like your own sales strategy. So I like that. So I don't really have anything to add. I think the third key point that we wanted to kind of cover here, it was covered a little bit in the first one, admittedly, but it's just communication. We can't recommend enough regular communication between sales and marketing teams. And as a marketing team, don't forget about agencies or we as an agency look at ourselves as an extension of the marketing team. So, don't hesitate to bring your agency in on some of these conversations if you're comfortable having them, right? If there's where it gets tough, and something I'd like to throw back on Keegan is what about healthcare is one of our biggest industries. What about sensitive data, and how do you work around those kind of issues?
That's a good point. I mean, when it comes to sensitive data and like healthcare, obviously anonymizing as much of that information when you're sharing between your agency and the company is obviously important, right? Like that's fine. We can still learn a lot from, again, channels and events or keywords that can actually determine if there's good quality or not, or where are we generating a positive ROI. So yeah, while it is tough with healthcare, and maybe not as automated because you got to filter out a lot of that sensitive data, there's still ways to do it, and still completely necessary to do that. Just need to have some process put in there to keep everything secure.
Yeah, there's always ways around it. I mean, obviously the more data the better, but if instead of a person's name, email, and phone number we have an ID, like, that's totally fine. We can still do some analysis, right?
Right. Yeah.
The ideal situation is we have all of the leads we're generating for a client and some information on where they came from, and obviously like all of the campaign device keyword information, maybe what ad creative they came from on Facebook, Instagram, and then the missing piece is the sales context around it, right? Who was qualified, who was not qualified, and why. So make sure you're communicating. Make sure sales teams are communicating the qualifications and reasons, and not only that, but what are key identifiers of your best clients? That's that's a great question. Any marketing person listening to this can go ask their sales team right now. Like, what are the key themes you see of our best closed deals? Like,
right.
your maximum commission, best closed deals. Tell me everything in common you have of all of them.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of that data is in like a Salesforce or a HubSpot, right? Where, again, having that data capture, having those meetings where you can actually communicate, who are they? And that's who you should be building your personas off of, instead of, a lot of times it's who the marketing team kind of dreams to be the persona, but not getting that context from the sales team can lead you in 2 different directions.
That's something I read recently. It's like, focus on your super fans, because that's really who you should be going after, right? That's there are people that are going to be like, this product is but your super fans are like, I can't live without this product. who are they? Like, there's
Mhm.
more of them out there. You got to find them.
Yep.
So help
Definitely.
your marketing team find them.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we got today. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Paying for Attention. We enjoyed it. Hope you did too, and see you on the next one.